The landscape of modern media is shifting in ways that few could have anticipated even a decade ago, creating an environment where traditional institutions must either adapt or risk fading into cultural irrelevance. Within this rapidly changing ecosystem, the intersection of high society, global celebrity culture, and digital broadcasting has become the new arena for public influence and narrative control. As audiences move away from traditional television broadcast and print media, the platforms that command the most attention are often those that offer a sense of unfiltered intimacy, casual conversation, and direct connection. This shift has forced the world's most historic organizations to rethink how they present themselves to the public, balancing the weight of centuries of tradition with the demands of a fast-paced digital audience that values authenticity above all else. In this context, the strategic choices made by public figures regarding where and how they speak become indicators of broader shifts in strategy and survival in the modern era. The manner in which influential individuals navigate these new channels can either solidify their standing or leave them isolated from the very cultural conversations they wish to lead. To stay updated on these fascinating shifts in global media, culture, and public strategy, please consider subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications so you never miss an in-depth analysis of these unfolding events. The dynamics of public perception are more complex than ever before, and understanding the subtle maneuvers behind major media appearances requires a careful look at the unfolding landscape. What we are witnessing today is not merely a series of random promotional events, but a highly calculated realignment of influence, where the traditional markers of authority are being traded for digital reach and cultural resonance. The atmosphere surrounding these high-profile media drops is charged with a sense of a deliberate positioning, where every word, every laugh, and even the specific timing of a release carries significant weight. As the digital world continues to expand, the ability to command attention without losing one's core identity has become the ultimate measure of success for public figures operating on the world stage. As we look closer at the current state of global media, the contrast between different approaches to public relations becomes increasingly stark, revealing a fascinating division in strategy. On one side, there is a clear movement toward embracing the casual, high-impact world of digital broadcasting, where the goal is to break the internet and capture the imagination of millions of viewers across multiple generations. This approach relies on a deep understanding of what resonates in the digital age, creating content that is easily shareable, inherently human, and capable of generating endless clips for social media platforms. It represents a forward-looking perspective that recognizes the power of pop culture and seeks to plant a flag firmly within the most significant global events of the day. Conversely, a different strategy often unfolds in the background, one marked by a continuous cycle of public uncertainty, complex logistical narratives, and a reliance on older models of media engagement that focus heavily on personal grievances and security concerns. This second approach, while capable of generating short-term headlines, often risks alienating the broader public by focusing on division rather than connection, leaving those who employ it increasingly isolated from the mainstream cultural currents. The tension between these two opposing philosophies provides a compelling backdrop for understanding the true nature of modern influence and public positioning. It raises fundamental questions about the long-term viability of different public relations strategies and how choices made today will echo through the years. Shaping the future of global prominence, the atmosphere of anticipation grew intensely as the public awaited the release of a highly anticipated digital broadcast that promised to bridge the gap between historic tradition and contemporary popular culture. The buzz on social media had been building for days, with short promotional clips and teasers hinting at a conversation that would defy traditional expectations and present a well-known public figure in an entirely new light. When the full audio and video finally dropped, it immediately captured the attention of audiences worldwide, demonstrating the immense power of a well-executed digital media strategy. The presentation was described by viewers as nothing short of epic, featuring an introduction that felt more aligned with a high-energy sports entertainment event than a traditional public address. This bold presentation style served a dual purpose. It not only entertained the listeners, but also signaled a willingness to engage with the audience on their own terms, breaking away from the stiff, formal presentations of the past. The success of this introduction highlighted the importance of having a sophisticated, modern communications team capable of navigating the nuances of digital broadcasting and understanding what truly captures the public imagination. By leaning into a style that was relaxed, humorous, and self-deprecating, the subject of the interview managed to project an image of approachability and modern leadership that resonated deeply with a global audience. As the details of the broadcast began to circulate, the conversation quickly turned to the broader implications of this media appearance and how it reflects a calculated approach to long-term public engagement. The decision to participate in such a widely viewed program, which commands millions of listeners across various demographics, represents a significant departure from the media strategies employed by previous generations. Rather than opting for formal interviews where the subject is subjected to intense scrutiny or predictable questioning, the focus has shifted toward platforms that allow for a more genuine, albeit carefully managed, showcase of personality and values. This shift is particularly evident in the way the interview touched upon popular sports and personal interests, allowing the speaker to demonstrate a genuine knowledge and passion for topics that matter to everyday people. The resulting public reaction was overwhelmingly positive, with clips of the conversation spreading rapidly across the internet, solidifying the speaker's position as a relevant and forward-thinking figure in contemporary culture. This strategic success stands in sharp relief against the more turbulent media narratives taking place elsewhere, illustrating the profound difference between a cohesive, forward-looking public relations strategy and one that remains mired in conflict and retrospective debate. The evolving landscape of public communication continues to favor those who can master the art of the digital clip, creating memorable moments that feel authentic and engaging to a global audience. The unfolding media event reached its peak when the details of the highly anticipated podcast episode were fully revealed to the public, setting off a wave of commentary across the globe. The appearance of Prince William, the Prince of Wales, on the New Heights podcast, hosted by American football stars Travis Kelce and his brother Jason Kelce, marked a historic collision between the British monarchy and American sports culture. The episode dropped on a day already charged with immense pop culture significance, coinciding perfectly with the widely reported wedding day of Travis Kelce and global music icon Taylor Swift in New York City. By participating in this specific broadcast, which was released exactly as the eyes of the world were fixed on the couple's high-profile celebrations, the future king managed to plant the flag of the House of Windsor directly into the center of the biggest pop culture phenomenon on the planet. The atmosphere of the conversation was remarkably relaxed, featuring an introduction by Jason K that sounded like a high-energy wrestling announcement, listing all of William's historic titles, from the Duke of Cornwall to the Prince of Wales, before welcoming him to the show. The subsequent 20 minutes of radio and video broadcast consisted of light-hearted banter, genuine sports talk, and a level of casual authenticity that completely broke the internet. establishing a stark contrast to the stiff public relations styles of previous generations. Throughout the recorded conversation, the dynamic between the American sports brothers and the British heir to the throne felt surprisingly warm and unscripted. Despite the massive teams of publicists that undoubtedly orchestrated the encounter behind the scenes, the hosts asked William about the origins of his football fandom, leading to a humorous exchange about his dedication to the Aston Villa Football Club. When asked if his father, King Charles, had introduced him to the sport, William quickly shot back that his father actually dislikes the game, prompting bursts of laughter from the Kelce brothers. The conversation flowed naturally into the mechanics of the sport, with William demonstrating a deep, legitimate knowledge of the game, even participating in a debate over who would make the absolute Mount Rushmore of English football history. The Prince of Wales openly shared his experiences of feeling massive Monday morning despair whenever Aston Villa loses a match over the weekend, a sentiment that immediately endeared him to sports fans worldwide. The raw, blokish energy of the podcast was perfectly captured in a historic, casual moment where a guest used the F word during a fast-paced discussion about a professional foul on the pitch, an unprecedented occurrence in a recorded conversation with the heir to the British throne. Instead of an awkward retreat, the moment was met with a relaxed, understanding demeanor, proving that the modern communications team at Kensington Palace fully understands how to navigate the digital broadcast space. This masterstroke of digital positioning was driven by a highly sophisticated communications strategy led by top advisors like Lee Thompson, a seasoned public relations expert with a background in major American digital broadcasting networks. The strategy focuses entirely on providing high-quality, humanizing video clips that can easily go viral on social media platforms, ensuring the monarchy meets modern audiences exactly where they are. Rather than subjecting the future monarch to traditional, adversarial political interviews that often yield painful or embarrassing results, this approach allows the royal family to present themselves exactly as they wish to be seen, relaxed, approachable, and self-deprecating. The immense success of this appearance stands in brutal, undeniable relief against the ongoing media strategies pursued by Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. As the podcast dominated headlines, reports emerged that the Sussexes were spending their time isolated in a holiday villa in Portugal, completely cut off from the glittering network of global celebrities that once surrounded them. The contrast was impossible to ignore, raising fundamental questions about the long-term viability of the noisy, divisive strategy the Sussexes have pursued over the past 6 years, which has increasingly left them out in the cold. The public reaction to the podcast drop highlighted a profound shift in how power and influence are traded within these elite international networks. Observers quickly noted that when high-profile figures are forced to choose between maintaining a relationship with the future King of England or aligning themselves with a highly divisive couple living abroad, the choice inevitably favors the institutional weight of the crown. The glittering array of celebrity friends who filled the seats at St. George's Chapel during the Sussex wedding in May 2018, names like George Clooney and Oprah Winfrey seemed noticeably absent from the current Sussex narrative, leaving their public brand flatlining and in desperate need of emergency resuscitation. Meanwhile, Kensington Palace moved swiftly to clarify that while Prince William and his children, Prince George and Princess Charlotte, are massive fans of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, having met them backstage at Wembley Stadium earlier in the year. The Prince of Wales would not be attending the massive wedding ceremony in Manhattan. The swift confirmation from the palace signaled a careful boundary, ensuring that while the monarchy fully capitalizes on the massive digital reach of the pop culture event, It remains firmly elevated above the pure spectacle of celebrity commercialism. As the tension between these two royal factions continues to mount, the logistical drama surrounding Prince Harry's upcoming travel plans to the United Kingdom added another layer of complexity to the unfolding story. Representatives for the Sussexes continued to blast out messages to the press via private communication groups, spinning a continuous narrative of uncertainty regarding whether the couple would attend upcoming events in London. The public relations team for Harry and Meghan insisted they were still exploring complex security options to ensure safe travel, a move that critics labelled as a self-confected attempt to drum up public interest and leverage the British authorities. This strategy reached a controversial low point when an intensely detailed partial security report compiled by the Sussexes' own team was leaked to major television networks, explicitly warning of potential terrorist threats surrounding their visit. The public release of such sensitive claims drew widespread condemnation, with media experts pointing out that if Prince Harry genuinely believed he was facing state-level terrorist threats in the United Kingdom, it was incredibly irresponsible to publicize those fears, as doing so actively damages the charities involved and creates unnecessary panic among the public who plan to attend the upcoming events. The stark contrast in public behavior between the two brothers serves as a powerful window into the future of the British monarchy and the long-term survival strategies of those who operate on the global stage. While the Prince of Wales successfully integrates himself into massive pop culture events through polished, approachable media appearances that focus on unity, sport, and light-hearted connection, the Duke of Sussex appears increasingly trapped in a cycle of litigation and defensive public relations. The situation reaches a critical junction with a remarkable series of coincidences scheduled to unfold in the heart of the British establishment. Prince Harry has orchestrated a major public pivot away from his previous image as a casual, television-friendly celebrity toward that of a serious global thought leader and philosopher. As part of this transition, he has chosen to deliver a highly publicized speech at Chatham House, the deeply respected and historic foreign policy think tank in London, known throughout the political world for its strict rules of confidentiality and its deep ties to the traditional governing apparatus. Chatham House represents the very centre of the institutional establishment that Harry has spent years criticising in his memoirs and media interviews. This serious academic appearance is designed to reposition his brand, focusing on profound global matters such as international conflict, digital misinformation, and global charity networks, moving far beyond the personal narratives that defined his early commercial ventures in the United States. However, in a twist of timing that many observers believe will feed into the Duke's deeply ingrained sense of suspicion regarding the establishment. The High Court judgment in his ongoing legal battle against Associated Newspapers is scheduled to drop at the exact same hour he stands up to speak. This sudden collision of events ensures that his attempt to present himself as an objective global commentator will be immediately overshadowed by the chaotic media storm surrounding his personal legal grievances. The contrast between this impending courtroom drama and the smooth cultural success enjoyed by the rest of the royal family highlights the immense strategic miscalculations made by the Sussexes since their departure from active royal duties. Observers frequently point out that the cards held by Harry and Meghan when they initially stepped away from the institution were exceptionally strong, backed by massive global goodwill and unprecedented financial opportunities. Had they adhered to the advice of Queen Elizabeth II, an extraordinary monarch with decades of experience in public service, who urged them to maintain the dignity of the crown at all times, their current standing would be vastly superior. Instead, their reliance on a continuous narrative of grievance has left them in a vulnerable position where they must constantly generate public drama simply to maintain the commercial viability of their media brand, which risks flatlining without a constant connection to royal controversy. The long-term consequences of these choices are becoming visible in the professional networks surrounding both factions as key figures from the past re-emerge to offer fresh insight into the internal dynamics of the palace. Prominent royal biographers and seasoned journalists, such as Valentine Lowe, the storied former chief royal correspondent for The Times and author of the groundbreaking book Courtiers, continue to break open the inner workings of the institution. Lowe's extensive reporting on the palace infrastructure, including the famous memos regarding internal staff friction, provides a detailed historical framework for understanding the deep fractures that led to the current divide. These experts note that the modern royal apparatus is increasingly split between the forward-looking digital strategy managed by Kensington Palace and the reactive, legalistic approach coming from the Sussex camp. The institutional weight of the monarchy naturally attracts long-term stability, whereas individual media ventures reliant on personal disclosures face the inevitable challenge of diminishing returns once the initial shock value of the narrative wears off. This reality is reflected in the changing nature of their public support, as traditional charitable organizations and high-profile international figures are forced to weigh the benefits of partnering with the future sovereign against the unpredictability of aligning with a highly litigious couple operating outside the formal structures of the state, as the international community watches these events unfold against the backdrop of major global milestones. The broader significance of the monarchy's public relations triumph becomes undeniable. The convergence of the Prince of Wales's podcast appearance with the celebration of massive cultural events demonstrates a profound understanding of modern audience engagement. By utilizing casual, high-impact digital platforms, the institutional hierarchy successfully maintains its relevance without sacrificing its historical prestige. Meanwhile, the ongoing logistical disputes over security, travel accommodations at residences like Buckingham Palace, and the publication of disputed risk assessments only serve to isolate the dissenting faction further from the mainstream cultural conversation. The path forward for the modern British monarchy appears increasingly defined by this sophisticated blending of ancient tradition and contemporary digital reach, leaving little room for the chaotic, retrospective narratives that have characterized the alternative approach. Ultimately, the unfolding story reveals that true public influence in the modern era is achieved not through continuous conflict and public demands, but through the artful, composed management of perception, accessibility,